Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 10, I believe, of my Wrath of the Righteous playthrough. Last episode, we didn't really do too much, and honestly, I imagine the same is going to be said for this one. Of course, we ended up in our headquarters slash pub, and last episode, we spoke to a few NPCs and got some backstory and stuff like that. Of course, given a few quests as well. And in this episode, at least to start it off, we have a few people to speak to. Sela, Irabeth, for example. And probably a few more around the pub, like Anevia. Who else? August Worm, we need to speak to him because he owes us some money. We'll speak to the barkeep, Camellia, as well. Whoever this person is, and we'll just have a general look around. So let's get to it. We also leveled up, so I imagine everybody else leveled up, but I would rather do that when we've got a bit of time, and I mean when we're not having to speak to like 50 different people. So let's speak to Sela. Good day and clear skies. What do you say? Where are we off to today? Irabeth said your friend Jaina Aldori is missing. Do you know where we should look for her? Irabeth is worried about her fighters. I understand that. I wanted to look for her myself, so I didn't distract you. But since you're in on this too, I could use some help. Jaina and I met in Canabarus a few days ago and just hit it off. We were drinking together. We went to the unforgettable celebration together too, but we got separated in the crowd. So we should start looking from the main square. That's where I last saw her. Jaina's a good fighter, even if she is green. She couldn't have become an Aldori otherwise. I hope that means she's alright. Okay then. Is fighting demons all you want, or are you looking for something more? Oh, we got another quest. How about covering myself in glory and becoming the hero of 100 ballads? Or at least a dozen, if they're lively ones. Anyway, to be more serious, the area around the World Wound is the best place for a paladin who wishes to defend the weak and serve good. Being part of the crusade is reward enough for me, but there's something that worries me. I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing my brothers in arms, but the Eagle Watch and the other orders are focused on just one aim, the war against the World Wound. That's why they can sometimes overlook the smaller things. Ordinary misfortunes, you know. I always liked being a wandering knight because any moment I could get up and go help a poor rat folk whose family had been kidnapped, or an old woman whose favourite dog had gone missing. So here's my answer. I don't have some big, important goal, but I'll be happy to help those who need it. A little bit here and there. That's what I like to hear. Okay, what do you think is going on in Canabarus? We already know, but let's ask anyway. It's complete chaos. It's lucky we're able to handle it, right? Sela smiles brightly, then gives you a worried look. Does the way I talk bother you? Now I can seem blasé. Many good people, and our protector Terendelev died here in Canabarus. A paladin of Iomade is expected to be properly respectful and solemn. I prefer to face my troubles with a smile and a bit of common sense. Grief is a weapon they'll use against you. It can undermine the warrior's spirit. It's better we hold off on grief until we've driven the last demon and cultist from the city. So we could go chaotic. If we want to win, we can't be mourning our deceased day and night. Plus, joy heals the soul. And then there's the lawful. There's wisdom in the traditions of mourning, and one shouldn't reject them. All the more so if the inappropriate merriment could offend other mourners. Many people loved ones perished in Canabarus. I'm not bothered by how you talk, what matters is how you fight. That is true. Now you're talking sense, but you can trust in my sword. So obviously I'm trying to go for like a good playthrough. I don't really mind picking certain choices if they really fit. You know, like going the lawful or even a chaotic one every now and again. But I'm going to try my hardest to stick to the good path. Sure, there might be some questionable things I do, like looting everybody's stuff and robbing everybody, but, you know, it's a game, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to stick true to, like, I have to be 100% good. You know, I'm not a paladin. And I'm not like creating a backstory behind my character and everything like that. Unless, now, if I was playing a tabletop game, of course, it'd be a little bit different. But as it's a video game, it's different to me, personally. I'd like to get to know... I'd like to know more about you, I guess. What made you become a paladin of Iomade? Her gaze sharpens momentarily, then she sighs. That's a serious question and a good one. You should ask it of your companions, but it's a long story. To start with, 12 years ago, I was nothing like the person I am now. I roamed the streets of Solku with the other homeless orphans. I stole, I fought, I was a hired sword for a bit. Not the proper origin for a paladin, is it? Back then, Solku was a city of orphans, widows and widowers. Gnolls decimated the city regularly. My parents were among their victims. People there heard about new deaths before they'd finished mourning their previous losses. One day, a group of knights of Iomade brought a glimmer of hope to the city. While others saw them as saviors and protectors, I was busy pricing up the noble horses and their gleaming mithril armor, wondering just how much one of those pretty swords could fetch. A thief lives one day at a time, that's what they say. I was the type that never thought past the next job. Anyhow, I was able to sneak into the knight's camp and steal one of their mithril helms. Seela paused, her voice sad and measured, and I was right there when a gnoll attacked the helm's owner. Semi was her name, and dealt a blow to her unprotected head. A gnoll like all those others she'd fearlessly driven from the gates of Solku. That one blow was fatal, but who was really to blame for her death? The gnoll attacker or the young thief named Seela? I mean, you stole it. Would she have died with the helmet? Probably not. Even a seemingly small misdeed can have terrible consequences, that's true. I know what it takes to survive sometimes, I can't judge. Also true. Life is cruel and full of chaos. Sometimes survival just comes down to luck. That is also true. And that is also true as well. You couldn't have known the consequences of your actions. I'll go for the top one. Well, I can. I believe everybody deserves a chance at redemption. Redemption means you understand what you did, and you are willing to be harder on yourself from now on. But you were asking what brought me into the ranks of Iomade's warriors. We all chose the paladin's path for our own reasons. Some are guided by nobility of spirit, some by a desire to fight injustice. I became who I am through penance and a debt unpaid. The day Asemi died protecting my city, I wanted to kill myself for the terrible guilt I felt. But then I realized it wouldn't make the world any better. And I decided that instead of trying to take her place, I tried to take her place. I'd become who she had been and protect the innocence that she could no longer be able to protect. Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to go that path, I suppose. She's definitely right though, killing yourself is definitely not the answer. That'll be 2 dead people. For what? For nothing. What are the principles that paladins of Iomade follow? She smiles. I'll tell you. I like to recite our code. It feels like I've said it 1,000 times, but it never gets old. There is strength in these words. After a pause, she begins, her voice slow and meditative. I will learn the weight of my sword. Without my heart to guide it, it is worthless. My strength is not in my sword, but in my heart. If I lose my sword, I have lost it all. If I betray my heart, I have died. I will have faith in the inheritor. I will channel her strength through my body. I will shine in her legion, and I will not tarnish her glory through base actions. I am the first into battle, and the last to leave it. I will not be taken prisoner by my free will. I will not surrender those under my command. I will never abandon a companion, though I will honor sacrifice freely given. I will guard the honor of my fellows, both thought and deed. I will have faith in them. When in doubt, I may force my enemies to surrender, but I am responsible for their lives. I will never refuse a challenge from an equal. I will give honor to worthy enemies and contempt to the rest. I will suffer death before dishonor. I will I will be temperate in my actions and moderate in my behavior. I will strive to emulate Iomede's perfection. Damn. Okay, and where are you from? I'm a little bit from Geb, a little bit from Katapesh, but mostly from the Knights of Iomede. I was accepted and began my training at 14. I belong to their ranks more than I belong to any other place. You've come to Mendev by a long road, haven't you? A very long one, she looks at you cheerfully. A traveller is expected to have amusing stories. Unfortunately, I only have 3 tales of any interest, and I'd like to save them for our next feast. Otherwise, I won't have anything to show for myself when it's time to start bragging. And that just won't do. Especially since I'll win the night with my cautionary tale of a battle with chupacabras. Sure. You can't tempt me with a story about fighting chupacabras and then not follow through. What are chupacabras, by the way? Incredibly repulsive magical beasts. Fast and dangerous. They can, well, it looks like someone's fooled me into starting the tale. I guess now I'll have to tell the whole story. Okay. I love it. Picture a small town in Kadira, and down in the dungeon there's 2 murderers waiting to be executed. The gallows are already built for them, the ropes being brought, and sometimes life takes a surprising turn. Suddenly, a paladin of Iomede appears in the doorway and offers the murderers a deal. If they go with her to fight some monsters, they'll live. If they survive, that is. There's a big difference between imminent death and probable death, with a glimmer of hope, wouldn't you say? Here we are travelling through the desert, me and my friend, a priestess of Seren Rain, along with the little ratfolk fellow who'd asked for our help, and the 2 cutthroats. We get to the ratfolk village and see their bodies lying around, all drained dry. We figured we'd have to fight vampires. That's how the little ratfolk described the monsters who attacked our village. That's why we went in brazen. The sun was high and the vampires couldn't attack until dusk. But we never got a chance to look around. Black shadows, quick as the wind, attacked us from all sides. Not vampires, but chupacabras. One of the lads we pulled from the gallows got killed right away. The second one ran for his life. That left me, the ratfolk, and Kira. That was the name of the priestess. And we all steeled ourselves for the fight of our lives. And just when we thought the end had come, and the chupacabras surrounded me like a pack of dogs around a bear, our ratfolk friend wounded and down, and the teeth of the quickest of those blasted mongers clenched on Kyra's soldiers. Right then, when all hope was lost, the other lad from the gallows suddenly comes running back. He kills the beast attacking Kira. I'm sure you know what a turning point in a fight looks like. Well, that was it. A moment before, we were lost, and a moment later, we had it back under control. The chupacabras dropped dead, one by one. The little ratfolk is reunited with his family who were hiding in the basement. The priestess and I closed the eyes of the boy from the gallows who saved us. It was a shame he didn't survive the fight. May the gods keep his soul in its journey through the afterlife. Damn. I expected a more cheerful story and now I'm sad. I feel like every story I'm hearing in this game is making me sad. I'm getting way too emotionally invested in this. I don't know if that's a good thing. After hearing Land's story, I was all like, Jesus man, I could cry here. Everything's so sad. That's a good story. He could have died in disgrace at the gallows, but instead he died a hero. Let's go for that. And I'd fancy the stunt earned him some points at Ace Final Judgment. It's smart to remember our journey doesn't end with death. Had it not been for that mercy, Ilos, that was his name, would be hanging from a noose, and me, Kyra, and all the ratfolk would be dead in that village. Someone told me that a kind deed done by an unkind person is 100 times more precious. By the same token, an evil done by a noble soul is 100 times more horrifying. That's what I really wanted to say. The chupacabras were just a good starting point. Thank you. I hope I didn't bore you. Ask me anything else if you like. I think we're good. Okay. That was a lot. Let's speak to Irabeth. Any success? How's the city? Tell me about the Eagle Watch. It was a small order created to fight not only demons, but also the enemy within, to maintain the purity of the paladin ranks, prevent heresy, and identify spies, and it failed miserably at that. Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth infiltrated it and formed their nest within its ranks. This is okay, we already know about these. After the Queen entrusted me with leading the order, Nevia and I practically built it from scratch. We got rid of dead weight, people who weren't committed, we organized ways to transmit messages and orders safely, we introduced reliable ciphers, we found tacit allies around the city, from crusader orders to street beggars. This was my personal crusade, to purge the city of the Templars who had infested it, and I thought I was winning. I could feel it. We were so close to driving the cultists out of Carnabrus, but, she frowns, it's hard to admit, but those successes didn't count for much once the demons entered the city. On the contrary, if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be a headquarters at the Defender's Heart. The cultists would have served up the city on a platter to the demons. True. The lines of Erebus' forehead softened. Yes, that's true. It's a good thing we achieved something. Thank you. Of course. What is our main objective? You heard what the demons said. They're going to desecrate the wardstone and blow up the whole barrier around the world with. That would be an even worse disaster than the world was expansion before the Second Crusade. Expansion. Not only Carnabrus, but every okay, we already know this. Yes, okay. Personal questions. Please. But I must warn you, there are some things I don't have the right to discuss. Oh, okay. Tell me about Anevia. We met in Timon, as I was wandering aimlessly from one ordeal to another. We returned to Carnabrus together to expose the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth. The day the Queen knighted me was the second happiest day of my life. The first was the day of our wedding. But Anevia isn't just my beloved, she's my staunchest ally. We share every victory and defeat. The best of me is alive thanks to her. Thank you for saving her back then, the day Carnabrus fell. Before her return, the only thing giving me the strength to protect the Defender's heart was the hope that I'd see her again. We are in your debt. Where are you from? I was born in Carnabrus. I grew up on a farm just outside it. But my way back home lay at the end of a long and winding road. It took me years of travelling through foreign lands before I came to where I've always belonged. And how did you become a paladin? A bitter smile appears on the half-orc's face. I don't much like to remember it. Believe it or not, the story of how I became a paladin is also the story of how I failed to become a knight. My parents were crusaders, made us all stand together in Iomede's celestial army. When I was born, they retired from the war and started preparing me to continue their legacy. But my father was an orc. You'd be pressed to find a calmer, wiser, and more pious servant of the goddess than he. But still, all his life he was dogged by sideways looks and whispers. When I grew older and it was my time to serve, I decided, anywhere but Carnabrus. That was where my father had served loyally, and his only reward had been injustice. Besides, the witch hunters, led by the Honourable Prelate Horan, stalked the city with a heavy hand. Who knows what they'd have done to a strange girl with green skin. Instead, I went to a smirk that looks more like a grimace crosses her face. You can laugh if you want, but I was young and foolish. I chose last wall of all places. You can imagine how well I was accepted in a country that's been battling the orcs of Belkzen since its foundation. While orcs can be found throughout Galarian, nowhere else are they as plentiful or live in as densely populated settlements as in the hold of Belkzen. Belkzen is an unforgivable wasteland filled with shrub brush, steep mountains, and uneven badlands, where water is scarce and generally limited to the seasonal flood. Okay. There were many there like me, but we were all treated as second-class citizens. To the locals, my green skin was worse than leper scabs. Even my brothers in faith kept that distance. I took my vows, and the goddess granted me the powers of a paladin. But even then, not a single order would accept me into their ranks. I spent another 6 months knocking on doors before I realized a simple truth. I serve Iomade, not these people. I don't have to prostrate myself before them. So I left as a paladin, but not a knight. You must stick out like a sore thumb no matter where you go, right? I know many people envy Aesomonks, but most of the ones I've known found their celestial heritage a burden. I find it hard to imagine what unasked for adoption must be like. I'm sure it doesn't make life any easier or any more pleasant. True. Okay, how did the people of Canabras feel about your background? They tolerated it surprisingly well. I shouldn't have been so wary. Crusaders don't tend to be prejudiced as a rule. After all, heroes from all over the world, even from other continents, come here to fight the demons. Apparently the people were only suspicious of full-blooded orcs. There were already many like me here, and we don't have any problems. Though the locals do have their superstitions, Mendev is as merciless as Last War. They just have a different set of victims. I kept seeing those same sideways looks and scowls, hearing the familiar whispers. But where once they used to whisper behind my back and point at me, now they whisper in my ear and point at someone else. It's so strange, to be on the other side of humiliation, to wipe the spit from your face and suddenly be invited to change position and spit at someone else. You must have figured out by now I'm talking about tieflings. It's true there are many of them among the cultists, and few among our crusaders, and our fighters do all they can to drive away those who would be allies. People shun them, call them a Relu spawn, or worse, as if they chose to be born like them. I believe it's quite a feat to rise against the call of one's blood and join the forces of good. Still, most only see them as the enemy. I once saw a knight bleeding to death because he wouldn't let a tiefling priest touch his wound. Alas, I haven't been able to change this in all of my time in Canabras. Racism in different forms, no matter where you go. And how did you come to join a knightly order? I left Last War and went travelling. The goddess guided me. My path led me where atrocities were happening. I often fought in exchange for gold, but never for unworthy aims. I wandered the river kingdoms for a few years, killing monsters and tracking down criminals. Sometimes I thought I was just wasting time, that my true place was in Canabras. I pushed those thoughts away. I didn't even want to think about going back. But in the end, divine providence had brought me to my senses. The river kingdoms have long been a haven for inland pirates, anarchists, and exiles, and anyone who cannot seem to make it in a more civilized nation. The kingdoms are by no means a unified nation, but rather a constantly shifting group of city-states and fiefdoms, each at war with the others both to gain more power and prevent their own demise. The river kingdoms are located in the marshy lowlands of the Selen River Basin, where its three branches combine in the journey south to the inner sea. There are a few roads throughout the land, and the branching web of the Selen and its tributaries provide the primary means of transportation through and within the region. So the river kingdoms is where the first game's based. At least I'm like, yeah. So yeah, in the first game, the whole campaign, the whole story is based around that area. It happened in Taimon. I was tracking a gang of bandits, which my employees suspected was a cover through Rasmarun spies. I managed to find their lair, but inside I found something far more dangerous than spies, an unholy temple of Zon Kufon. When I broke in there, the cultists were about to sacrifice someone, a person who was destined to become my wife, Anevia, but that's another story. So Rasmaran, the realm known as Rasmaran, was once just another turbulent, violent river kingdom. The Archduchy of Melkat, where leadership changed as often as the years, this ended in 4661, when the land was conquered by Razmir, a tyrant claiming to have been ascended to godhood. Cool. And Zon Kufon. The deity Zon Kufon, also known as the Midnight Lord, the Dark Prince, and the Prince of Pain, god of darkness, envy, loss, and pain, possesses one of the most twisted and evil minds in the great beyond. His position as god of pain is well earned, and he has been the root of countless tortures, murders, and worse throughout time. who was once a benevolent demigod named Dol Bral, but was corrupted when he travelled to the far, dark places between the plains and returned in his current form. His half-sister, Shaylin, still holds out hope that she can redeem him, though the Lord of Shadows shows no sign of remorse or compassion. So, I'd heard of Zon Kuthon, just in general through like playing Pathfinder and stuff, and of course Shaylin. I didn't know they were brother and sister. That's pretty cool. After I cut down the cultists, I examined their papers and couldn't believe my eyes. A network of evil cults had spread throughout all of Aviston, including Mendev. Worse, the documents clearly showed that their allies, the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth, had invested my native Canabarus, and were even among the ranks of the Paladins. After that, delaying my homecoming would be tantamount to desertion. Luckily, I was no longer alone. Enevia was as eager to destroy the cultists as I was. Enevia and I hurried to Canabarus. We couldn't trust anyone. The papers indicated that the cultists had infiltrated everything. Luckily, I had some experience in investigation, and my beloved, she smiles warmly. She knew her way around working locks, tailing people, and trading information with the city's bottom feeders. Soon, we defeated, alas, not the whole Hydra, but a few of its heads. Do you know who turned out to be the leader of the cultists? The commander of the Eagle's Watch! Bastard! Can you imagine? While Prelate Hallram was chasing witches through the city, the enemy had infiltrated the very order responsible for internal security. The scandal reached the ears of the Queen. First, she planned to disband the order in disgrace, but then she offered its command to me and put its salvation in my hands. Of course, there was one small catch. I wasn't a knight. I was made commander just the same, skipping the usual progression through the ranks. Easy. Okay, so we pass a religion check. I can't imagine the followers of Zon Kuthon in alliance with demon worshippers. Shouldn't they hate each other? They should. The Baphomet's minions are masters of deception. They manipulate Zon Kuthon's butchers as eagerly as Iomede's knights. The cultists from the unholy temple didn't know the true face of their associates in Canabarus. We ourselves learned the truth much later, after getting to the bottom of their nests. So Baphomet seems to be, at least the minions seem to be a little bit stronger in manipulation, and I suppose even mind control perhaps, than those of Zon Kuthon's. Interesting. Thank you for your answers. Let's go. Okay. So we've only spoke to 2 people and we're already 30 minutes into this episode. Oh, that's crazy. Right, let's speak to Enevia. Enevia in her muted colours blends almost perfectly into the background. She appears relaxed, but her seemingly unfocused eyes are taking in everything around her, tracking and filtering potential threats. The only tell is the tell that she drums her fingers on her hip near her weapon sheath. She shows no sign of her injuries and confidently leans on her previously broken leg. She pretends to have just noticed you, even though she watched you approach from afar. Oh, hey, see how they patched me up? Now I can run, jump, or dance a jig if I feel like it. Are there any suspicious places in the city I should pay attention to? There were a couple spots I wanted to check out, but I didn't have the time. If there really is a den of cultists there, it would be good if we could swoop in there now and bust some heads. You don't even need a search warrant. First one is the Silken Thread. It's a funny little tailor shop that doesn't take any orders and never buys any fabric. But they are always oh so busy. They are busy with something and they're alright, but something ain't it. Okay, so the Silken Thread has been revealed. Second one is the alchemy shop, Topaz Solutions, and they trading everything, not just healing potions. Judging by the ingredients they've been buying on the black market, there's something fishy around the alchemical rituals going down in that place. Topaz Solutions has been revealed, okay? Tell me about yourself. I'll be happy to, but there's kind of nothing to tell. What's so interesting about me? Okay, where are you from? Nowhere. I was blown in by the wind and found in a cabbage patch. Stop short. Sorry, that's an old habit of mine. I don't like blabbing about my past, but you saved my skin. So I guess I kind of owe it to you not to clown around, right? I'm from Nidal, and I wouldn't wish my homeland on my worst enemy. You've heard of the place, I'm sure. Ruled by monsters that aren't alive nor dead. and their official religion is the cult of Zonku Fon. I grew up in a slum, like a weed between the cobblestones. I didn't have a dad, but I had lots of aunts and uncles. My mum's cronies. Oh, okay. My prize for guessing the kind of business she was involved in. Well, no prize. They gave me a set of lockpicks as soon as I could hold a spoon. And while other kids were picking their noses, I was picking pockets. When I was 12, the monks of the Silent Shroud came for us. Creepy guys with their mouths sewn shut. They're the guards of Nice Rock. Mum gave me to her friends, and we hid in the secret temple of Desna, and never saw my mum again. I lay low in a temple for the next few years. Kept my head down. I watched floors, fetched water, listened to sermons. Funny thing, after a while, I started liking Desna's teachings, but as soon as I was old enough, I was out of there. I left Nidal and got as far away as I could. Quite a ragtag group you've got here, from nobles to street thieves. You got that right. Only the best for you. What do you do if the knights and nobles fail to save the world? The lowlifes are our only hope. True. And how did you meet Irabeth? We already kind of know that, but let's see what she says. I was bumming around Timon a while back, doing this and that. Desmond Temple sometimes gave me odd jobs. You know, sometimes I needed people with skills like mine. On the surface it was fine, I guess. After Nidal, the freedom of River Kingdom should be seemed like heaven. A chance to sit back and enjoy life. But I wasn't happy. There wasn't any joy in my new life. I was all alone. No one cared about me, and I didn't care about anybody either. I struggled to find a reason to drag myself out of bed every morning. Tying a stone around my neck and jumping into the nearest river started to look pretty appealing. One day, I was hired to follow some fellas who the local authorities suspected were Mazmaran spies. I was stupid. I made a rookie mistake, and they caught me. It's like my body had already decided to do what my mind had been fighting. It finally put me out of my misery. Get someone else to kill me, since I didn't have the guts to do it myself. They grabbed me. I thought they'd got me on the spot, but instead they hog-tied me and dragged me off. And just like an animal going to the slaughter, my only thought was, let's get this over with. They brought me to that stinking cave, threw me on that altar, and I realized who it was. 2 fights from Nidal. They tracked me down after all of those years. I didn't care anymore. Wouldn't even have wouldn't have even cared if they'd eaten me or whatever. Jesus. We all gotta go sometime, right? So I was lying there, staring at those knives pointing at me. And fate rolled the dice and I hit the jackpot. Irabeth. There she was, storming into the cave. Picture it. I'm laying on the altar with all these knife-wielding maniacs around me, and suddenly Irabeth storms in. I thought it was Iomade herself, fierce in her shining armor with gleaming sword raised. She made quick work of those scumbags, chopped them up just like that. I didn't even have time to blink. She untied me, and then, her face lights up as she chuckles. She looked through the papers they had on the table, and she started swearing like a sailor. So much for Iomade. Okay, and how did you end up here? After almost becoming a human sacrifice, I knew I never wanted to leave Irabeth's side. Desna knows I fell for her instantly, and I fell hard. My misery was gone, and when Irabeth showed me what was on those papers, proof that the cultist had a nest in her home city, well, I offered to help her without a second thought. She must have figured I couldn't wait to get my revenge on the cultists, but I didn't give a damn about them. It was her. I'd go anywhere with her, even on a crusade or into the jaws of a dragon. But I took to life in Canabras like a duck to water. I used to be an outcast wherever I went, but half of the crusaders did the same. After all, who volunteered to tangle with demons on the edge of the abyss? You gotta be either a goody two-shoes with too much honor and free time, or a misfit with no life out in the normal world with normal people. People come here to run away from their debts, their past, from themselves. So I fit right in. Okay, and what's it like living with her? It's like living. Without her, I wouldn't be. Seriously, if I were alone, I'd definitely be gone by now. Sure, sometimes we argue, can't deny that. Sometimes we bang our fists on the table and yell so loud the walls shake. But that's all about order business. But at home, well, I'll give you an example. I've kinda always wanted to move out of the broom closet we call our house and into something cozier. It ain't like they take a vow of poverty in the Eagle Watch. Every month, somehow, most of our spare money is spent on Crusader business. Sure, I get mad about it, but it's part of why I love her so much. You know, Irabeth has that thing that matters most for a person, the purpose in life. She's always got a reason for whatever she's doing. Her whole life is a crusade, and I just drifted around like a leaf in the wind until Desna brought us together. Now she's the meaning of my life, so it really makes no difference if you live in a mansion or under a bush. Aww, so cute. And what are your responsibilities in the watch? Apparently nothing official. I'm not even a knight, you know, I just hang around. Sure you want to know the details? Catching traitors and spies and cultists is no walk in the park. It's a delicate job. You can't always do it all within the letter of the law. What if we surprise some suspicious blighter with an official search? Everyone will know about it before long, starting with their cronies. Then again, sneaking into people's houses at night ain't exactly legal. Crusaders can't be doing stuff like that, can they? Well, I'm not exactly a knight. So you do the dirty shit, I see you. I see you. Okay, okay. All the conversations in the world. Chat. I was about to say chat like I was streaming. Jesus Christ, I'm not streaming, I'm recording. Okay, let's speak to Horgus. We got the money! Here, take this. Yes, it's 2,000 coins. Take your payment and remember that Horgus Guam always keeps his word. You helped me get back to the surface and I duly paid you for escorting me. Now speaking of our future cooperation. He looks at you with unvarnished disapproval. His arms folded around his chest, his foot tapping impatiently. I have a job that would be perfect for someone like you. Naturally, I'll pay generously for your services. You mean somebody like me? For an adventurer ready to sell their soul for booze, and then lie down drunk in a gutter? Or do you think you're somehow different, a travelling knight perhaps, noble at heart but without a coin to your name? He sizes me up and shrugs. You seem a reliable enough ally to me. You did get me out of those mongrel caves. Why should I care what you do with my money once you've got it? Seems like one of those people who think the entire world owes them something. However, you hear notes of hysteria beneath his smug arrogance. It's as though he's really quite nervous, but taking great pains to conceal it. Yeah, he's just a dick. That's what he is. Let's not argue with the guy. That's my point. Okay. What does the job involve? You shall be my bodyguard. Okay. You see, I have good reason to return to my mansion here in Canabarus. I still have. Well, it doesn't matter. It's none of your business. A mansion is a breathtaking building with a large garden in the wealthy part of the city. Even before the demons attacked, every thief and forster in the city had tried to get inside one way or another. I shudder to imagine the state is in now. I have little hope that my guards were able to hold the mansion during the attack, and I expect that the servants fled when they saw the demons. Only Abadar knows what's happened there since. Therefore, I would ask that you meet me at my mansion and guard me while I complete my business. He already asked the local paladins for help, but there's no desire to set foot outside this tavern. Damn cowards and traitors, that's what they are. Shut up, you dick. Also, please do take Camellia with you. I trust that girl more than the rest of your gang. She is of noble birth, after all. Okay, and what reward are we talking about? 1,000 gold coins. Can we double it? What's our diplomacy at? +9. Might as well. Yes! Several tense moments pass in silence, and Horgus' face relaxes. Deal. Alright, deal. Let's go. Marvelous. Most excellent. I'll proceed to my mansion at once and wait for you there. Meanwhile, you needn't worry. I know the city like the back of my hand, but do hurry unless you want me to lower the reward. Is there an actual time limit to this shit? Is it this one? No. Which one is it? The Burning City? No. Be prepared. Worm's Family Secrets. The fact that it's called that has me very, very curious. So we set off to the mansion. What could compel this man to risk his life to return to his ravished home? The answer to that question lies in that ancestral seat of the Worms. Interesting. I'm curious about that for sure. A strange figure towers above the bar. A huge, ungainly man with skin so milky white that his blue veins are visible even from a distance. His bald head is equal parts lumpy and pitted. Blood-filled eyes stare impassively out at you from beneath his pale brows. The glass in the albino's, or albino, whichever way, albino's large, clumsy hand looks dangerously delicate, as if one twitch of those calloused fingers would be enough to crush it. A gold medallion engraved with a tankard gleams around his neck. What'll it be? The medallion you're wearing, that's the sacred symbol, isn't it? Are you a cleric of Caden Kalian? I'm a tavern keeper. Best in the city, the best has ever been, and I pray to the best god there is. Okay. Who are you? Gemel Hawks, vampire. Are you really a vampire? He gives you a long look of reproach and then grudgingly answers, no. Any news in the city? There were demons everywhere and you showed up. Okay, this guy doesn't like speaking. Oh, I see you're not one for talking. He says nothing, okay. He has potions of lesser restoration for some reason, but I don't believe I need to carry any of them right now, so that's good. A short conversation, just what we fucking needed.
Let us be careful.
Let me loot all of this stuff in here. Purifying solution, that'll be for making potions. Take some of this. Okay, so we have a couple more people to speak to. We've got Camellia, we've got Jernorg, or however you pronounce that name. Possibly a couple people here, and we can go into the basement. Camellia looks... Wait, start that again. Camellia looks you over pensively, toying with the snake-shaped bone amulet that dangles from her pale neck. Noticing your glance, she flashes you a cold, barely there smile. Greetings. It seems for a moment that she wants to say something else, but the pause grows too long, and she slips back into cautious silence. Are you good? Are you okay? That amulet is quite unusual. Where did you get it? Ah, my little trinket. So nice of you to notice, but I assure you, this amulet is nothing but a bauble. Can a lady not be drawn to beautiful, useless things? I mean, you can, but I can't unequip it from you, so I'm curious. Your speech tells me you are of noble birth. She laughs her practiced musical laugh as she watches you from under lowered lashes. You're most insightful, a fine quality to have. Camellia's laugh ends, and unspoken words hang in the silence. Still, Still I believe that being of noble birth does not give anyone the right to look down on others. Why do I keep having that option? Forgive me if my questions disturb you. I couldn't resist such a noble and beautiful lady. I will stop bothering you immediately if talking to you or talking to me upsets you. Not at all. Our conversation is an exquisite delight. Camellia affords you a brief, friendly smile in appreciation of your manners. Okay. Where did you learn to wield a rapier so well? I had good teachers, although they don't get all the credit. I am a most diligent student. She licks her parched lips. Okay, tell me about yourself. You want to know more about me than you already do? Why? She arches a dainty brow. I talk to the spirits of this tormented land, and they guide me in battle. I help you fight the demons, and I swear that you can rely on me in this matter. Isn't that sufficient? Anyway, as much as I enjoy our delightful conversations, the spirits are calling me, and I must respond. Please excuse me. She turns away, watching me out of the corner of her eye. Damn, she doesn't want to speak to me for some reason. Also, this cat has been stuck on this chair for like 2 episodes. Okay, let's speak to this person here. A young man in well-worn traveling clothes and a simple wooden symbol of Aristil on his chest is efficiently cutting a linen robe into strips to use as bandages. Despite his visible exhaustion, he works with zeal, singing some tune about red braize and ripe sheaves of wheat under his breath. He raises his warm chestnut-colored eyes to you. Are you one of the Crusaders? Thank you for defending those of us whose talents lie off the battlefield. General, sure. Servant of Aristil. Pleased to meet you. What are you doing? I only took my holy orders recently, so my god has only bestowed a little of his power upon me as of yet. Sorry to say that the number of wounded fighters in this tavern is far beyond my power to heal. But there's a reason people say, have faith in the gods, but look to yourself first. I may not be able to help the wounded with magic, but I can at least cut up bandages. So he's a new follower of Aristil then. Are you from around here? No, I was just passing through Canabarus. I was sailing down that old man of ours, the Great Selene River, to a village by the name of KREPTiiK. I happened to land in the city on the eve of the festival, and I'm ashamed to say I've decided to stay for a day to enjoy myself. I ended up staying in the city longer than I bargained for. And where is KREPTiiK? It's a small fishing village. It's not even marked on some maps, but most people do live there. But people do live there. What they don't have is a priest. They have no one to heal their wounds, no one to offer prayers for a good catch, no one to give their deed a dignified burial. And the world wound is a stone's throw away. So, I'll be setting sail for KREPTiiK to serve my god and my people. Once we've held Canarbrus, I'll be going there. If by the grace of the good gods we all survive this, you should come and visit me sometime. You'll find the village here on the riverbank. And he marks it on my thingy, okay? Aren't you a young and experienced cleric, afraid to go to the border of the world wound? Okay, I won't lie, I am afraid, but what can I do? Those villagers are simple people. Every day of their short lives is spent doing hard, honest work. That's exactly the kind of life I want. Something simple, but meaningful. If I had centuries ahead of me, like elves do, I might have spared some 50 years or so to travel around the world. True. Or maybe even 100, why not? But I don't have time to spare, so I want to spend my short life in a place where I'm needed most. Even if it's dangerous, especially if it's dangerous. I could use the help of a cleric. He makes a helpless gesture. Eris still knows I'd be glad to help you, but it's no use. My spells are depleted, and I have no training in potions or scrolls. See this robe I'm cutting up for bandages? It's the second to last one. Okay. May Eris still watch over you. So what quest did that just give me? Cold Waters. So this one can be done at any point. It just says visit him in the village, okay. Born Autumn Haze. Who are you? A tall, fragile-looking elf sits in front of you, eyes closed. He is pale as a ghost, his arm wrapped in a blood-stained bandage. You spot other bandages on his body under his clothes, but even in such a miserable state, he manages to keep calm. Raising his eyes to meet yours, he says faintly, I am Fawn Autumn Haze, at your service. His pale lips are reddened by blood. You see no signs of pain or fear in his grey eyes. Do you need any help? After giving you a cold, intense look, he shakes his head. Do not trouble yourself on my behalf. A local healer tended to me. Besides, I come from a resilient, hardy people. My body will endure both the wounds and the poison delivered through them. Who wounded you? A sinner and an accomplice to demons. The quarry I am hunting in this hospitable place. Okay, I am a lesser Moonshadow. You can trust me. I might be able to help you. After a brief pause, Fawn says, it would be impolite to refuse such a direct and friendly offer. Okay, and who is your quarry? I was hunting a fugitive, a Descarite by the name of Kalessa. Pains me to admit there are heinous male factors such as her among my noble kind. I managed to catch up with her in Canarbrus, and I wounded her. The demons appeared and the city was engulfed in flames. I was injured in the battle that ensued and couldn't free her soul from its service to her dark masters. Okay. I am sorry for your misfortune. I hope things will turn out differently next time. There is no need for pity. Our ancient kind is blessed with great longevity. We gain a deeper understanding of the world than other races, and we learn our lessons better than anyone. That goes for learning from our mistakes as well. I survived, which means I will be more prepared when we next meet. Can I help you? I thank you, but this is my mission, and I'm used to facing all manner of terrors on my own. I do appreciate your willingness to help. If you happen to meet her, take caution. She has turned many innocent souls to the path of evil, and darkness has rewarded her with many gifts. Her appearance alone will tell you that it is warped. The agate skin, the malicious stare of her blood-red eyes, the bestial teeth, is more monster than elf at this point. Alright, we have a +5. There's literally no way we can make this unless we make a... Well, why would we need to do that when he kind of just told us? Agate skin, blood-red eyes, and teeth. There's no point me trying to make this check, and I don't even think I can. Okay. That's fine. Can we speak to this guy here? Oh, it's just a crusader. Okay, okay. Another super long episode of me just talking to our companions and random NPCs here. I hope you guys don't mind too much. Obviously, I'm playing this game without editing any of the fluff in between. But yeah, I hope you don't mind. If there is any problems with how much reading I'm doing, I can always shorten it. I do like to read everything in these games, and of course I'm reading it out loud so you guys can hear me say it, or instead of having to try and read it on screen at the same time as me. So I don't really see a way of me circumnavigating this. It just means that this series of episodes is probably going to go on to be like hundreds, which I don't really mind if I'm enjoying the game, of course. But I am going to call it there. Next episode we will go down to this basement and see what's down there, if anything. And then we will attempt to start doing some of these quests and actually explore outside of the headquarters. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed it and you're new, of course, please subscribe, consider it, whatever. Leave a like, leave a comment, all of that fun stuff. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.